Hello, welcome back to Transfer News Live. I'm Statman Dave, and this is the Scout Report, the number one place on the internet for the best analysis on the biggest transfers in football. Today, we're talking Jamie Gittens and his move to Chelsea, and how he could unlock Enzo Maresca's tactics. In terms of systems and styles, let's dive straight into that. So Nuri Sahin's side defended in a 4-2-3-1 at Borussia Dortmund. But when they won the ball, they moved into a similar system that Chelsea do under Enzo Maresca. That being one of the 8s taking the inside left channel, the 10 rocking to the inside right position, both wingers holding the width in the final third and controlling the play in a 4-1-4-1 structure, using possession to move the opposition around before opening them up with either direct wing play, underlaps or crosses into the box. In terms of Jamie Gittens' role within Nuri Sahin's side, he played very much as an inverted winger, a player that would look to hold the width before cutting inside on his stronger right foot to get shots away. In terms of support around him, it would either come from the 3-8 moving inside, or alternatively, if the build-up structure was a little bit different and Pascal Gross was dropping deeper to get on the ball, the support would come from left back. This sounds very similar to Cucurella and Enzo Fernandez at Chelsea. But in terms of the statistics, under Nuri Sahin, we saw the best return of Jamie Gittens' young career so far, that being 11 goals and 5 assists in just over 2,000 minutes under the Turkish tactician. Of course, Nuri Sahin lost his job at Borussia Dortmund and Niko Kovac took over, switching to a 3 at the back structure, either a 3-5-2 or a 3-4-2-1. And this, a little bit like Alejandro Garnacho under Ruben Amorim, didn't really suit Gittens' skill set. You'd probably say he'd be a wing-back in that system, but he's far better suited in a 4-1-4-1 structure as an inverted winger on the left. Tactically speaking, Nuri Sahin's winger role is very similar to what Enzo Maresca tasks his wingers to do at Chelsea. Tactically speaking, Chelsea defend in a 4-2-3-1 structure. They go man-to-man in terms of their pressing in midfield. But when they get the ball, the shape really moves. Both wingers, similar to Nuri Sahin's side, hold the width. The 8 moves into attacking midfield, the 10 shifts, and one of the fullbacks inverts into midfield, whereas one operates as an inverted fullback, giving Chelsea what looks like a 3-2-5 structure in possession. That being the 2 wingers super wide, Palmer shifting inside, Enzo Fernandez moving into that central area, Caicedo being joined by the right back in defensive midfield. This shape allows Chelsea to fully overload the opposition's pressing structure and dominate possession. Most players have 3 or 4 passing options directly on, which allows them to control the tempo. One of the criticisms of Enzo Maresca's Chelsea is in the final third, they're a little bit predictable. There's too many sideways passes and not enough creativity in the final third. And actually in the Europa Conference League final, we actually saw Cole Palmer really take control of the game and play more aggressive passes in the final third, which led to Chelsea lifting that trophy. But one of the things that Chelsea have lacked on the left-hand side of their structure under Enzo Maresca is explosivity and 1v1 dribbling in the final third, with the ability to come back on that inside. I'm a big fan of Pedro Porro, and I think he provides a good role for Chelsea in a tactical option, being a natural left footer that can play as a winger, that can go for the touchline and score goals, which with Liam Delap in the side could really improve Chelsea's goal scoring. But I do think they lack that right-footed left attacker that can drive on the inside and can score goals, and that's exactly where Jamie Gittens' skill set fits in. So how will Jamie Gittens unlock Enzo Maresca's tactics? Well, I think first and foremost, him naturally being a player that likes to hold the width in the final third will create the space on the inside for the underlaps, a key part of Enzo Maresca's tactics. That either being from one of the 8s jumping high, or alternatively Cucurella moving into that channel. But in terms of Chelsea's structure, having players that are good 1v1 in the final third is really important for how they play. We mentioned their build-up is good, the back 3, the 2 players in the defensive midfield line from one of the fullbacks inverting. But I think the big thing with Chelsea is they need the wingers to unlock the game 1v1. And that's exactly where Gittens has excelled for Borussia Dortmund, but also for England at youth level. The big thing with his dribbling is he's good not only coming on the inside, which is kind of his trademark, before getting shots away high into the far corner, but also he's good at going on the outside. This duality combined with his pace and power will make him ideal for the Premier League. versus someone like Jadon Sancho that's quite lightweight and maybe not quick enough to beat your average Premier League fullback. Gittens definitely has that pace and that ability to take you on. But not only that, as he doesn't get disheartened by the fullback maybe winning a few duels, he'll keep going. We'll have a look at an example of that later on today. But in terms of what Gittens would naturally bring Chelsea, it is those dribbles. It's that ability to beat the opponent 1v1 whilst creating space on the inside for Enzo Fernandez. In terms of where Chelsea need to go, they kind of need someone on the left-hand side that is a shoot-first winger. Pedro Neto is more of a creative player. In terms of his carries, they've led to 4 assists and 0 goals. Whereas Jamie Gittens is twice as more likely to dribble and then shoot than dribble and create a chance. In terms of his statistics, he got 3 goals and 3 assists following carries in the Bundesliga this season. And I think that ability 1v1 is really important. We've seen with Cole Palmer where he's got a real ability to create something out of nothing. Gittens has that. And a big thing is him cutting inside and getting shots away. So let's take a look at 2 examples of Jamie Gittens being a shoot-first winger. I think Arjen Robben is the archetype of this role. So Gittens in the final third very much held the width for Nuri Sahin's side. We can see him top of shot now. Not only is he doing that when the ball's on the right hand side, but he's giving his team even more width as the ball's moved over to the left, creating a 1v1 situation for himself versus the fullback. What I like about this receiving position right here is it allows him to go both ways. He could check inside onto a stronger right foot, but also go on the outside and maybe get a cross into the box. In this situation, not only does he drive on the outside, but then he checks back inside, beating 2 defenders before crashing a shot off the crossbar to give Borussia Dortmund the lead. That's one example of Gittens doing it versus a low block. This is really important for Chelsea because that's what they're going to face in the Premier League every single week. But he can also do it on the counter-attack. Another big skill set of a player like Gittens, with his speed and dribbling ability, is when he's on the break, when there is space to attack, he's very, very dangerous. Just notice how much space the opposition's fullback is giving Gittens. He knows that he's got the speed and the acceleration off the mark that if he goes touch tight, he's simply going to get burned. But Gittens, once again, shows a very good dribbling position. It allows him, once again, to go on the outside, but also go on the inside. And he's going to do exactly the same thing we saw before. Fake to go on the outside before checking back on the inside, completely bamboozling the defender before once again crashing a shot into the far right corner of the goal to give Borussia Dortmund the lead. Jamie Gittens' ability to cut inside and get shots away is going to be a big reason why Enzo Maresca's tactics will be more effective with him in the side, versus maybe someone like Jadon Sancho that sometimes really struggles to generate power after cutting inside onto his stronger right foot when playing on the left wing. And actually, if we compare the numbers of Gittens versus Sancho, they're quite comparable in terms of carries that led to chances created or shots. But if we take that a step further, Gittens is 6 times more likely that a carry will lead to a goal or an assist than Jadon Sancho per 90 last season. And that's a big reason why the effectiveness will shoot up with Gittens in the side. I think part of Gittens' game, again, he's a young player that he needs to improve on, is his kind of short-range passing. That being on the inside, or alternatively, let's say a fullback on the outside and playing them down the line. But an area that Enzo Maresca's system will help him improve. It's that idea that there's players in short proximity to those quick passes, could allow Gittens to play 1-2, shut himself into the box, and then once again get shots away. Scoring more goals for Chelsea, making them a more dominant attacking force. But I think one of the bigger things that I think Gittens will help Chelsea out is actually in the counter-attacking situation. So let's say Chelsea are dropping back into their 4-2-3-1 structure with Enzo Fernandez dropping in and the 2 wide players playing a little bit deeper and helping out their team. I think one of the big things that we've seen with Chelsea is they're good at creating counter-attacking situations. Only Liverpool had more shots from fast breaks than Chelsea in the Premier League last season. But if we look at the effectiveness once again, Liverpool scored 14 goals from fast breaks. Chelsea only scored 7. So that ability to not only intercept the ball, but then carry forward and make something happen in the final third, once again, is a reason why Chelsea will be more effective with Gittens in the lineup. He's a player that thrives in these situations due to his speed, his body balance, and his power to attack space. And it's an area that Chelsea really could improve. So taking a look at this example against Eintracht Frankfurt, Borussia Dortmund have just won the ball back and Gittens is very much an out ball. We mentioned previously, not only is he really good at drawing opponents in, he's good at shifting their balance, which means he can simply shift past them with a nice little turn as we see here. But then when he's in the final third, this is where he's really dangerous. He eats up the ground when he's got the ball at his feet. He's very, very quick in possession of the football. That allows him to drive into these types of areas where basically there's a 2v1 on the opposition defender. From this position, what I like about is his composure. His body orientation is basically telling the defender, I'm going to play that pass. That's probably the right decision, but what Gittens does instead is he goes with this kind of other stock finish. We've seen him cutting in on his right foot and firing it into the far corner. His stock finish on his left is usually low into one of the bottom corners. I like how he feints the pass, cuts back inside onto that left foot, and fires it into the bottom corner. A really, really good goal. But I think the other side of counter-attacking, which is really undervalued, is can that wide player drop in and do a defensive shift before leading that break? And Gittens has already showed that in his career so far. Take this example against Real Madrid. In a really good defensive position. He's on the far side. He's in arguably a wing-back position versus being in a midfield position, similar to how Unai Emery's Aston Villa defend in the Premier League with their wide players. But as Real Madrid move the ball to the left-hand side of the pitch, Gittens again is in a very good area. He's in a bit of a halfway position. He's ready to engage if the ball gets switched out wide, but also he can capitalise on mistakes. And that's exactly what happens here as Real Madrid shift the ball back to the right. Mbappe's clip ball is quite poor. There's a miscontrol in midfield and Gittens is electric. He's straight away on the ball breaking through. Not only does he hold Rodrigo off, completely outpowering the Real Madrid wide attacker, but he's got the pace to shoot past Lucas Vazquez and drive into the final third. Big thing, as we mentioned previously, an area of his game that he needs to improve is his short-range passing, because this is a kind of an example. He's created a really good counter-attacking situation. It's a 4-on-4. It's all down to his defensive positioning interception, but his pass is quite poor in the final third, and Eder Militao simply deals with it. But once again, a young player, there's room for improvement, but will help Chelsea in counter-attacking situations. We think Cole Palmer is super dominant on the break. Having another player like Jamie Gittens is really going to improve that attacking output. So I think one of the big things that we've spoken about throughout this video is Gittens is going to improve Chelsea's goal scoring. But how is he when the ball is on the other side of the pitch? A big area of Chelsea's offense is overloading the opposition's backline with bodies in the box. We know about Enzo Fernandez moving high, but also the far side winger has a big job to do. But what I like about Gittens in his attacking movement is he's really good at finding space in certain areas and he'll drive and attack it. What I like about his acceleration is as soon as he wants to go, he's going to outpace most defenders in the final third. So I've got a few examples of Jamie Gittens attacking the box. I'd say he attacks the box more like a number 9 than a traditional winger. So Dortmund once again building down their right-hand side, Gittens holding the width on the left. There's some nice interplay on the right wing that creates a good crossing position. But as you can see, Gittens is not drawn to the ball. He's waiting in the right position for the ball to come to him, something that young players don't tend to do. They get a little bit overexcited, they get drawn to the penalty spot, and the chance kind of fades away. But in this situation, Dortmund cross the ball and Gittens attacks the space. Crucial to score goals. Commit, expect the opposition to make mistakes. And that's exactly what happens as the ball finds its way to the back post and the dink finish to beat the goalkeeper is simply sublime. But that's him in the penalty area. That's kind of against a low block. He's not drawn in. He looks for the space. This time it was on the outside. Let's take a look at him attacking that inside space between the centre-back and the full-back. As Dortmund carry into the final third on the right-hand side, we've got Gittens highlighted bottom of shot. Once again, I like that he's kind of in a bit of emotion now, but he's not sprinting. He's not using that blistering acceleration. But as soon as Daniel Malen gets into a good attacking position, he goes and completely breezes past Lucas Vazquez and finishes off the move. Really good attacking play from your far side winger. Once again, will result in more goals for Chelsea. But as well, I think a big thing for Chelsea, the fluidity in that attacking line. Sometimes Gittens may be in the centre forward position. Let's say if Liam Delap has pulled wide and carried as he likes to do. Gittens Gittens has done that for Borussia Dortmund under Kovac, and we see that in this goal. This is where he's playing actually in a 3-5-2 as a centre forward. What I like about this once again is he's not drawn to the ball. He's waiting for the right moment to attack it. In this situation, Dortmund create an opportunity to cross the ball with a nice underlap. But just to look how Gittens is waiting. The centre-back is getting drawn to the ball. Gittens is staying stationary, which allows him to have a little pocket of space. The jump is very, very good, and the header into the far corner is really good for a young player. And I think you combine his ability to attack areas of the box on the far post, as we mentioned, inside the fullback, outside the fullback, but this leap could be devastating. His jump is really good, like a young Cristiano Ronaldo, which will result in big goals for Chelsea. So in conclusion, Jamie Gittens will unlock Enzo Maresca's tactics by adding more goals to their forward line, cutting in on that stronger right foot and using his stock finish high to the right-hand side of the goal, on the counter-attack where he's devastating with his pace and also can finish on his left foot. But finally, his attacking movement as the far side winger is really good and something that Chelsea don't quite have at the moment on that left-hand side. I think he's going to be a great signing for Chelsea. But anyway, guys, get into the comments below. Do you think he'll be a good signing for Enzo Maresca? I've been Statman Dave on Transfer News Live. We'll see you next time.